It's 6 o'clock, we might as well start the remote meeting script, right, and then we'll move into executive. Okay, good evening. My name is Amy Ritterbush, and I'm Chair of the Hopkinton Select Board. Tonight is our Tuesday, November 15th Select Board meeting, and this is a hybrid meeting tonight. Let's see, the meeting is being held both in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. So Select Board member Irfan Nasrullah is remote, and all the members are present in the Town Hall, room 215-216. At this time, I will ensure that all Select Board members participating remotely can be heard. Irfan Nasrullah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and we can hear you. The public has the option of attending here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. Okay, and the first item on our agenda is to enter into executive session. So I would like to request a motion to enter into executive session number 1 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3. To consider strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to DPW, police, fire, and communications, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the board. Second reason, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate relative to parcels R2290, R3426B, U2670, R2373A, R23100, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. 3, to approve executive session minutes from November 1, and to allow Norman Cavallo and Elaine Lazarus to participate in the executive session, and then to reconvene an open session at the conclusion of executive session. So, need a motion?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor, roll call vote?
Frenier, yes.
Darrell Kramer, yes.
Shahid Manan, yes.
Irfan Nasrullah, yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, so we'll be back shortly. Good evening, my name is Amy Ritterbush, and this is the Select Board meeting for Tuesday, November 15th, and we have just returned from executive session, and our first item on the agenda in open session is the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and then we had, I guess we should do the public forum first, but then we do have a public hearing at 6:45. Let's see. Okay, so now we have the public forum, so each person will have up to 2 minutes to speak at public forum. Start by stating your name and address, and we will go first to people who are present in the meeting room, and then we will go to people on Zoom. So is there anyone in the meeting room that would like to speak at public comment? Okay, and then is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak on public comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so I think we're done with public comment. And then I think I'd like to skip the consent agenda for now, since we have the public hearing at 6. What's that? Yes. Can you hear us? He can't hear us, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we just changed something. Can you hear now, Irfan?
I can hear you now, yeah?
Okay, good.
Okay, so we have the tax classification hearing. Okay, the select board will hold a public hearing to determine the percentage of local tax levy to be borne by each class of real and personal property in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56. All right, and so to begin, Norman, would you introduce that, or we'll have Jenny come up?
Join us
Okay.
is here. Is Tim coming? Is Tim joining us?
He said it was here.
Okay.
All right, and there's some information in our packet as well.
All set?
Yep, go ahead.
So, good evening, Select Board, Town Manager, Assistant Town Manager, the audience and residents who might be watching us on TV, as well as my board members. Thank you to the Assessing Department, the Finance Department, the Town Clerk, the Accounting Department for all of their help and their work in bringing us to where we are here tonight. And thank you to my Board of Assessors, hopefully watching, and thank you for all of your work all year long. The pages that we are going...
Should we put your slideshow up? Would that be helpful? Or
I'm sorry?
should we put your slideshow on the screen? Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay, there.
Yeah.
If we could start with the letter.
Okay, sorry. Go back. I think the letter was what was up.
Right before.
Okay.
Thank you. So, let's see. So, all of the information that we are going to discuss tonight was included in your packet, and it will be included on the website for the residents in the next couple of days, so I am going to move quickly, but please feel free to interrupt me at any time, or you can wait till the end, that's up to you. But so, the first item we have is a letter, and again, I'm not going to read through it since you've already had access to it, but it talks a little bit about the decisions that you will have to make tonight as we move forward. If we could go to page 2, there is a section on summary evaluation which tells you about the total value of the town, roughly 82% residential and 18% commercial, industrial, and personal property. Talks a little bit about the single-family and condominium values as compared to the previous year. Talks about the new growth dollar value and the new growth value and the new growth in terms of tax dollars. Talks about the largest categories of growth and where that came from. And if we go to page 3, it shows a chart with the increase in the different classes of property over the last 5 years, and then a chart with the top 10 taxpayers in town. So I'm going to just sort of continue on. If we could go to the next page. So the town manager, just before we go to the PowerPoint, the town manager asked me to briefly explain to the residents and the select board the various exemption programs we have in town. So this chart talks about all of those programs for seniors or veterans or the circuit breaker program or whatever we have available, who they're available to and what the different requirements and income and asset limits are. We do have this chart on the website. We have what we refer to as a Senior Solutions Guidebook, and that is available at the Senior Center and also on the website. So the chart that you're looking at, is available on the town website for anyone to see. If we could go to the next page. This is called the MDM-1 form, and it's something that we are required to file through the Gateway system every year. And again, I'm not going to read through it, but the first column shows the number of exemptions granted in different categories, again, whether it's veterans or elderly or blind or the new circuit breaker senior exemption. So in fiscal year '22, we granted 85 different exemptions to our residents in Hopkinton in the amount of just over $146,000. So we think we're doing a pretty good job with that program. We're always open to ideas. We have done outreach previously to the Senior Center. I've been on TV with the director of the Senior Center a couple of times on the program they have, and we've done presentations to the Senior Center, but if anyone has any other ideas on how we could do more outreach and get more people who might be eligible into those programs, we'd be happy to listen to it. If we could go next to the PowerPoint presentation. So those are the members of the current Board of Assessors. If we could go to page 2. And again, these are some of the decisions explained in the classification letter that you will need to make tonight, whether you're going to use a single tax rate or whether you're going to split the tax rate in Hopkinton. That is not something that Hopkinton has done. I think they did it for 1 year some time ago. If we could go to the next page, this is the open space discount. Again, Hopkinton has not done that in the past. There is only one community in the Commonwealth, the town of Bedford, that actually has an open space discount. And it's a little bit of a misnomer, just so that you know. It's really a moot point for Hopkinton. It's not that we don't have land which is undeveloped, either that is owned by the town or private people. We don't have anything in Hopkinton which is in the open space land use code, which is State Land Use Code 200. So even if you were to vote that discount, there would be no property to discount it against. The next one is the residential exemption. You can shift up to 35%. And this Hopkinton has not done in the past either. It stays within the residential class, so some people would pay less and some people would pay more. And if we go to the next page, the small commercial exemption for businesses in town with 10 or fewer people with property value under $1 million. You can also grant a small commercial exemption if you so choose. That is also not something that the town has done in the past. If we go to the next page, again, a little bit of a summary for you. The total value, approximately $5.5 billion, about 82% residential and 18% business. The average single family, $753,300 compared to last year. The average condominium value, new growth, $3.4 million in tax dollars, similar to last year. The largest categories of growth were from personal property because of our Hopkinton LNG facility and NSTAR Gas and NSTAR Electric, the condominium class, and single families. The property level provides about 85% of the revenue for the general fund. I hope I have that number about right. It's close to that, but values have certainly gone up, in Hopkinton and in many communities, and have gone up significantly in some areas. We have also had significant new growth. and the net average impact of that is about 2.1% on existing residential property owners. At the time, the PowerPoint was prepared so that you would have the information in the packet. You'll see a couple of question marks in the presentation because I didn't have the numbers from all the finance forms at that point. The next page.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry to
sorry.
interrupt. It's 2.1% now, you know the number?
2.1% tax impact this year. With all these adjustments, so values go up, the tax rate goes down, more new growth comes in, and the net effect, as advertised in the Appropriation Committee report in May, is a 2.1% impact within the levy, and that also includes the reduction from the payoff of some excluded debt. So it's about 2.32% within the levy, and then excluded debt went down a little, so it's down to a 2.1% net impact.
Thank you.
And I think that's an important point because I showed you on a previous slide that single families went up about 10.5% in terms of value, but that doesn't mean the tax rate is going up 10.5% because of those number of factors. So this page on the increases in property value by class over the last 5 years, and if we could go to the next page, the chart on the top 10 taxpayers are also repetitive from what were in your classification letter. So
Can I add another question?
if we could go to the next page, sorry.
Would you prefer questioning at the end or interactively?
Questions now are fine. You're open to
Yes.
questions now.
Okay. Just a clarification. Caught my eye, commercial was 0, 22.
So you're talking about the commercial increase on the previous slide.
Slide 6, I think, if we could look at
Slide
that.
6.
Correct, yeah.
And the commercial is 0 and 22. So he's talking about this right here, just, and
Okay,
that was in last year's briefing.
that is correct. So in that particular year, that is a correct figure. There was no change in the commercial property value. But then this year for fiscal '23, you can see it's gone up about 10.5%. So.
As an assessor, what is your explanation, or your clarification, I should say, for 0%? You think there was no, because everything else was going up, the commercial was 0. I'm just curious to understand.
So why was commercial stagnating in that year, do you think? Was it COVID? Was it affecting commercial more than residential?
Yeah, I think there were a number of factors because, industrial was strong, but commercial are, office buildings, for example, restaurants, retail space, some parts of the economy that were more affected, by COVID than some of the other ones. So I think that is part of the reason. And again, these are statistical averages, so that doesn't mean that some commercial property didn't actually go up in value. If one went up 5% and another went down 5%, would have a net increase, obviously, of 0, but there was some fluctuation.
Thank you.
And if we could go to slide 8. Here we go. So we know now, again, at the time this was prepared, we didn't have the finance forms finished, but we know now that the proposed tax rate for fiscal year 2023 is expected to be $15.81 for commercial, industrial, and personal property, and $15.82 for residential property because of the circuit breaker exemption. So, in the past few years that we have had the circuit breaker exemption, it has changed the tax rate by 1 or 2 cents in each of those years. Last year was a penny, this year is a penny. That rate is subject to change based on decisions you make tonight and is also subject to the Department of Revenue approval before it is finalized. And if we go actually to the last page, these are the motions that you will need to make tonight. So I'll leave this to the chair in a minute, but, one on whether or not you want a residential factor, that really ties into number 5 on whether you split the rate or not. So if not, the residential factor is effectively 1 or no change. Whether you're going to implement or not implement an open space discount, a residential exemption, a small commercial exemption, and then the split tax rate. This is a copy of what's referred to as the LA5, which breaks down the different properties by class and the tax rates that we have talked about, and then includes the information on the circuit breaker exemption. And we have at this point excess levy capacity for this current fiscal year of $17,907.30. Prior to this year, the Select Board had to sign this form. That is no longer required. We do want you to know the excess levy capacity, but this form, when the classification hearing is finished, goes to the Board of Assessors to sign in the Gateway system, and then goes to the Town Clerk for certification to sign in the Gateway system.
And I'll just add, when the town meeting occurred in May of 2022, the question was asked, is this a budget proposal that will result in excess levy? And the answer was, no, it is not, and we were very close. So $17,000 out of $87 million is the excess levy. We were off, somehow we were off by that tiny fraction.
Come on now.
We'll be better next year.
So if we could go back to slide 9, please, and those are the motions that are before the board, and any questions you might have. We have other documents if we need them to answer any of your inquiries.
Okay, so I don't particularly have any questions because we've done these every year and you have a thorough explanation. But, so before we start going through them one at a time, does anyone have any additional questions?
Yes.
Is that Irfan?
Yes.
Okay.
Through the chair. A couple of numbers jumped out at me, was basically the growth, or the increased property values, 10%. Can you boil it down to what is going to be the impact for the taxpayers? Are they looking at a 10% increase in what they pay in residential real estate tax, or is it still going to be the 2.1?
So I'll take that question. Yes, sir, Madam Chair. The tax impact will still be under the 2.5% allowed by Proposition 2.5. It's still going to be 2.5%. Valuations are going up. The tax rate is going down. And the net effect of that is going to be the 2.1% number we forecast. Now, because the property base is growing, I did a little calculation right before the meeting, and last year, for every $1 million in additional spending the town had on top, our average taxpayer paid $140 of that $1 million spending. And this year, with a bigger tax base and a different tax rate, even with the higher valuations, the average taxpayer of the new, now more valuable home will pay $137. So it's down, 1.5%, 1.25% of what everybody's share is. So, your value went up, but the whole pie grew, and your share of the pie that you contribute as an average homeowner actually went down in real dollar terms. But of course, we're asking for more pie this year in the budget. So it's going, there's a lot of percentages here, but the tax bills will go up 2.1%, but everybody's share of an extra $1 million went down a little bit. Does that help?
Yes, that definitely helps, because I think that's what the average taxpayer wants to know, is how much is my bill going up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any other overall questions before we go into, we could do the individual items? Yep.
Sorry, there's more context to this, or?
Well, I think, so we have to make these motions, and I think he explained them earlier in the slideshow.
Okay.
So, but we could do them one at a time if you had a question about a certain one.
Yeah, just a few clarifications
Yep.
through the chair. Do we have a general understanding or your view, or I don't know if Board of Assessor has any analysis or recommendation for impact on each of these, should there be any decision to do anything? For example, if we do, look at some exemption for a particular group.
Yes, we do. We have it in excruciating detail. So on motion one, proposed motion one, a residential factor. So our ratio of residential property to other property is over 80% to less than 20%. So if we wanted to use the residential factor to provide $1 of relief to residential taxpayers, we would have to impose $4 or more of impact on all the other taxpayers.
Because
So-
we have 80% residential and about
Because we're
20%
it's like, you know, if you want to give some small group of people more, to have them pay more, it gets diluted when it comes to the residential.
And then
So-
we would be penalizing the commercial sector, which we would kind of like to increase, I think, because we're so top-heavy on the residential.
That's right. Exactly, Madam Chair. I think what you see is in towns with a very robust and inflexible commercial sector, like a large railroad shipping yard or switching yard, or Foxborough with a stadium, they represent such a large portion of the tax base that you can take $1 from them and give everyone else $2. And, you know, give all the residences $2, but here, we would have to take $4 or $5 from every commercial entity to give $1 to the residences. And the town's posture has been pro-business, trying to develop our residential and commercial base to get more balance. And I believe in the past, the idea has been that it would be contrary to that goal to
People
try to...
may be less likely to come here with business if they saw it was a higher rate.
We're talking about TIFs and other things to support the business community to go in the opposite direction and advertise that we're taxing them at a higher rate would be difficult. Now, if you had a boardwalk and hotels, they can't move, they can't leave, they want to be on the ocean. We don't have that. South Street is competing with every other commercial area, and we want the vibrant downtown that we're investing in. So it seems that the communities that have done that have different circumstances. Like that stadium in Foxborough is not going to move over a modest tax issue.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. That's the clarification I was looking for, and it totally makes sense with our pretty smaller commercial tax base, that we wouldn't gain as much, and we also want to encourage more business, so that would not serve that purpose. Now, just for similar clarification's sake, wanted to understand the same, say for item number 4, particularly because of all the work that's going on in downtown, small business are impacted, and I was just wanted to understand the similar scenario. Would it actually benefit, our overall philosophy of promoting business and helping small business in this case? It's always paying Peter from Paul, unfortunately, but with that scenario, what would that scenario might look like? So
that question is about the small commercial exemption, and I'll give a beginning of an answer.
Can we go back to slide 4 then? That has
Slide 4, yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
has the explanation.
That's about the small commercial exemption, and I will say the first part of the answer is, if you look at the definition in bullet 1, it employs fewer than 10 people with property under $10 million, so that could be...
1 million.
Go ahead.
1 million.
Oh, under 1 million, sorry. So that could be, a hedge fund. It could be, it's because you have under 10 employees doesn't necessarily mean that you're, Snappy Dogs or a small entity. Do you want to talk about how this has been viewed in the past, the small commercial exemption?
I'm not sure how it's been viewed in Hopkinton in the past. The question has, the prior select boards, which of course you don't have to answer to, have never really raised the question with us, so we didn't do the analysis for that for you tonight. I guess I would say that if we certainly can, I don't think that we will have that many small commercial businesses in town that have 10 or fewer people and actually have a property value under $1 million. That's a pretty low threshold for a for a commercial type of property. But, you know, we always run the different options if you wanted to split the tax rate, but since we haven't really been asked previously about the small commercial exemption, the residential exemption, or the open space, we generally don't come before you because we don't know that's something that you would like to hear about. We can do that. It would mean, you know, delaying tonight's classification hearing, you know, to another time till we could come back with that information if you would like.
Thank you, appreciate that. I think, I mean, given the scenario and the broader criteria that you mentioned, it's probably not
So
as...
yes, sir, the maximum relief we could offer somebody who had just under $1 million in valuation would be $1,500 off a $15,000 bill. So again, it's something we could explore, but that would be the scale of what we could offer under that. And we would have to have a protocol to validate the number of employees, and, you know, so we could do that work if it's something you're interested in looking at.
Yeah, thank you, I just wanted to run that. I think the complications and the benefit doesn't make it very attractive.
Do you want to share this options page with them?
Okay.
I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay. So can we go, so the first, or let's go back to the slide with the other, rest of the motions. That was slide 9, I think.
So I can make a motion to not implement a residential factor for
If-
2023, is that okay?
If I may,
Yes?
since this is a public hearing,
Oh,
I'd
thank
like to
Okay.
tell the public and see if they...
Okay, so are there any members of the public in person that would like to make a public comment at the tax classification hearing? No? Okay, are there any members of the public on Zoom that would like to make a comment on the tax classification? Please raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so I think we can move ahead with the motions.
So I'll move to not implement a residential factor for 2023.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? And we have to do roll call vote because Irfan is remote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes.
I move to not implement an open space discount for 2023.
Second.
Okay, and again, roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes?
Irfan Rasooli,
Yep. Mary Jo?
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Okay, Shahidul?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Amy Roderbush, yes.
I move to not implement a residential exemption for 2023. Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes.
I move to not implement a small commercial exemption for 2023. Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Okay.
I move to implement a single tax rate for 2023. Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes.
I move to approve the Form LA5 as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes. Okay, so I think we're done with the tax classification hearing, and we don't have to sign it even?
Thank you all.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Assessors.
Okay, and then
Thank you,
next,
John. Thank you, Tim.
we had another public hearing on the utility pole. Okay, so is there anyone from Eversource here tonight about the utility pole?
Through the chair, the applicant has asked for a continuation.
Ask for continuation. Okay, so we need to make a motion to continue to what date? Okay,
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to December 20th.
20th?
Second.
And do we have to state the time?
No.
You don't have to say the exact time? Okay. Okay, so you made a motion, and seconded? Okay, so we need a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes? Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes?
Irfan Rasooli, yes.
Amy Roderbush, yes. Okay, so those were the two hearings. The next, we're past, what's it? So we're past 7:05, so we should do the public listening session next, I think?
Going back to the,
Yeah, I think we should, since we have these listed for a specific time, I think we should do the consent agenda later. Okay, so the public listening session for the FY24 comprehensive budget. So we will hold a public listening session on the proposed budget. So do you have a small presentation, and then we'll ask for comments from the audience?
Yes, through the chair, we have a two-part presentation. Firstly, Tim O'Leary, the CFO, will walk you through some basic information on sources and uses, as well as the capital plan program for the next 5 years. And then at the end, I'll outline the next steps in our listening sessions.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, good evening. If we can go to the package on page 39 of 90, slide down there to that sources and uses document that we have looked at a few times in previous meetings. And there are not many changes to discuss tonight on that. At the September 29th, 2022 budget rollout, the target was decided on for a 5.1% spending increase. So I'll help you get to the right page, sources and use. That's it, right there. Thanks. A 5.1% target increase, and we did that acknowledging, or the select board did that, acknowledging a forecast $1.8 million funding shortfall for '24. As Mr. Neese said, the new growth in the tax base for 2022 ended up being better than expected, and he detailed some of the reasons for that. Some personal property and some residential construction that was better than forecast. And that resulted in $3.3 million in new growth versus $2.5 million in new growth. And that changed that one box you see that's in bold with a bold border around it, up above there. And it increased it by about $800,000. And that lowered our forecast shortfall for FY24 from $1.8 million to the $1 million that people with really good eyes can see on the bottom of that page that's on the screen. All the other forecast sources and uses are unchanged at this time, but that one event, because it rolls into next year's tax base, took care of more than half of the problem that was identified. Departmental operating budgets have been submitted and are under review by the town manager. A proposal will be submitted to the Select Board and Appropriation Committee in January of 2023. The second thing I'd like to bring up in tonight's session, if we can go to page 38 of 90 there, the FY24 capital budget. So that is it right there. And that sheet contains 27 capital requests that were made by 7 town departments in the general government fund, and you can see the items for the water fund in the section down below. Of those 27 requests, the most noteworthy ones are a request for $120 million for the Elmwood Elementary project, which is eligible for up to a 30% funding match from the Mass School Building Authority, but it is not guaranteed to get a 30% funding match. So with a 0% match, it would be that $120 million there. With a 30% match, it would be $84 million. And of course, that's all based on the estimate. The estimate could go up or down as the final designs and plans come in. The next really noteworthy item is a $21 million request for Hopkins School addition and renovation, and then the other 25 requests together total $6.3 million. So with the school at $120 million, the Hopkinton Public School requests account for 97% of all the requests for the general fund. And if it's lowered to that $84 million, it still accounts for a percentage or 2 point less than that. So if we can go to page 36, is the 5-year capital plan. And this is really what brings some context to the discussion of this very large FY24 request. So that's a two-page document, so people could, if they have access, can scroll between pages 36 and 37, and they'll see that the five-year projection for general fund spending for all those requests is $275 million. And then there's another $26 million for the Water Enterprise Fund to support the MWRA connection. And this sheet shows that water money being spent in FY '24 and '25, and we have just been advised that that would be a '25-26 spend, which helps us a little bit in the water side. It pushes it out a little bit. So let me give a little context to that five-year plan showing $275 million in new spending. Right now we have $73 million in general fund debt. And there is a debt ceiling that's set in law, and that ceiling is 5% of the assessed value of all the property in town. So before Mr. Neese made his presentation, our debt ceiling was $250 million. And after he made his presentation, it was $275 million, because the value of the property in the town grew so much. But using even the $275 million number, our current debt level has us about 27% of the debt ceiling. So the scale of the borrowing that's proposed in this five-year plan creates challenges in a couple areas. First, it pushes us against and through the debt ceiling, and then there's the affordability issue. And just to complicate this, I mean, we all think of debt in terms of our mortgages for this type of large debt. So if you take out a $500,000 mortgage, you wake up the next day and believe you are $500,000 in debt. Under the municipal finance rules, the day we take out debt, we have to book all the principal and the interest. So you take out a $500,000 debt and you owe $650,000 that day. You take on that full obligation, which is not how most of us think about debt. So the $275 million number is actually a much bigger number when it starts getting layered onto our debt ceiling. Our treasurer, Chris Hamons, ran 4 quick scenarios for us with this numbers, and we varied it. So he looked at what situation we'd be in if we get 30% funding for the Elmwood School, and if we do not. And then, because the debt limit goes up every year, as it did tonight when Mr. Neese announced the growth in our property value, he looked at what happens if our valuation grows by 2.5%, and what happens if it grows more steeply by 5%. And I guess the bad news is that under all 4 scenarios, we have years in which we would exceed the debt limit. So that's a timing challenge that the town is going to have to address. Really we're beyond the debt limit in FY '27 under all scenarios, and under other scenarios, it's 28, 29, and 25 as well. So we'd have several years where executing this plan would result in a debt higher than what would be legally allowed for us. So looking at the timing of these plans is pretty important. And now I'll just talk quickly about the cost aspect for these plans, just to execute these plans as identified. And the 30% change on the school, the 30% funding for the school is fabulous, and it's worth fighting for, worth getting, but it doesn't change the picture on the tax impact that much, because there's $275 million in new debt on this plan. So right now, our principal and interest is about $6.5 million a year, and the average homeowner pays about $890 of that bill. So if you have the average house, you pay for the operating government and you pay for our debt. And your share of the debt is about $890. Under these other scenarios, in the peak year...
$890 a year?
$890 per year.
Yep.
So you're paying a tax bill of about $12,000, and $900 of that is for debt, and the rest of it goes to support the rest of the government. So assuming the rest of the government clicks along as it has been, steady services and cost growth and service growth as we've experienced, what will change would be this debt. And so the scenarios would be that the debt would go from $6.5 million a year to $24 to $26 million a year in debt payments. So $6 million to $24 to $26. Big increase. 3.7 to 4 times more debt payment than people are paying now. So for a person with an $11,900 tax bill, that would mean their tax bill would rise by between 28 and 30% from where it is today to fund this level of spending. So we have some challenges remaining on the operations side. And we have on the capital side both the question of the debt limit and the affordability of this large amount of proposed capital spending. The budget reviews for the capital and operating budgets are underway, and the Capital Improvements Committee has been provided with all the capital requests. They'll do their work and send it down to the Appropriation Committee with a recommendation. But this is a very consequential budget year with very large evolving cost implications for the taxpayer. And so Mr. Khumalo will talk about what we're going to do beyond this session to try to get out and share this information in the community, what our outreach is going to be to get beyond the people who attend or watch the select board meetings to try to raise the awareness of these important issues. We know our colleagues from the schools have been doing the same thing, and that's excellent work and important work. And all the other projects for DPW and facilities, they all need to undergo the scrutiny in this cycle.
Yeah, quickly, as we all know, the town's elected, appointed boards do a very good job in identifying the needs that are then presented in the budgets that are proposed for consideration eventually by town meeting. I think I said it last year that we do a very good job in balancing the budget. And at the same time, we remain very committed to ensuring that in the solutions that we move forward in formulating the budget, we do not get too far ahead of the community. And in that spirit, this year we are proposing and have begun today a very robust process to engage the community. We know the budget itself is a complicated document. It has many moving parts. It takes a long time to put together. We begin in September and eventually present it to town meeting in May. It is based and is explained through enormously complicated concepts, procedures, and methods. Thankfully, we have a finance team that has begun over the years to simplify that reality. In doing so, we believe we've begun a dialogue and a process that allows the residents to grasp the solutions that we move forward through the budget. We also believe that by simplifying the conversations, we allow residents to think about the budget in more helpful ways. And it is for that reason that we are going to use the listening sessions to accomplish the following objectives. Number one, we're always concerned and focused on improving performance. We're always looking for ways to improve our service delivery. And then secondly, service levels. As we've been talking over the past months and also the past years, we want to align the work that we do to the town's vision, goals, and mission. And thus, we are going to use these listening sessions to make sure that the service levels that move forward through the budget process more closely align with the citizens' preferences. Thirdly, we always want to differentiate Hopkinton's performance in terms of some of our key objectives, such as efficiency, inclusion, belonging, and equity. So we will use these listening sessions to better refine our understanding of the different and varied needs that are represented in our diverse community. And then lastly, priorities. We all know Hopkinton is a growing community. We are hearing that we have growing needs, and I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the budget plan that we move forward does align with the priorities identified by the community. And so how are we going to do this? We begin today. We are lining up additional listening sessions that will take us to the senior center, to meet with also the Chamber of Commerce, to attend neighborhood meetings. We are also coming down to Woodville. We will also be at any of the other major activities and events that are taking place in the community. And this is our way of confirming to the residents of this community that this is your budget. We are coming out. If this was possible, if the budget will allow it, we'll do a bus tour. However, Tim and I, Elaine, and everybody else at Town Hall will be walking to your meetings. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bus tour or walk.
Let's see. So it's a lot to take in. And so I guess my first thought is I hope we're prioritizing the capital projects, and it sounds like we may have to move some to different years because we can't hit our debt ceiling. So I assume that staff is kind of working through that about what could be moved and what is absolutely essential for the first couple of years. Let's see. And I think it's a great idea to hold the more listening sessions. I just think if we could get them out to the public more in advance, I think that would be helpful. I don't think we sent this notice till last week, and if we can give people 3 weeks, I think you get more people to, because there's a lot of people here, but I'm afraid they're probably not here for this meeting agenda topic, I'm not sure. But do board members have any questions or comments before we open it up to the public?
If we're going to do that, we're going to take some capital projects and we're going to move them off. Then next year, can we prioritize them? And so that they don't lose and get moved off again, and you know, that's happened in the past. And they should, after moved off a couple of times, they should then have a priority.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I think the Capital Improvement Committee will start by doing the work on whether the projects are of merit or not. And then when the town manager develops and presents his 24 recommendation, that prioritization occurs at that step. And the challenge that he has is that the projects slated for 25, 26, and 27 haven't had their hearing yet. So it's going to require the experience that the staff has with the community to make that kind of evaluation of how to fit the immediate needs identified in 24 together with a whole 5-year plan to address that in a comprehensive way in January. Do you have any additional points to make about that? Or that's what we aim to be doing before late January.
Okay. All right. Shall do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, through the chair. First off, Tim, thanks to you and your team for building this comprehensive picture, something I was looking for quite some time, as you know. And I think this is something that's very important, as to Norman's point, that we communicate and socialize and educate with and share with our all residents. Something that we have been, talking about it, I've been talking about, that how our growth and all these capacity challenges, infrastructure challenges are starting to pile up. I think this shows that picture much more clearly, and that's the first step. So thank you for doing that. And a few technical questions, I'll get into that. But one thing I think generally we would also want to see is, given that debt ceiling challenge, what are the scenarios optimally we can do, and even prioritization-wise, sense of prioritization-wise, moving them around a little bit, making it a realistic view that at least the debt ceiling part is technically feasible. because that's a mandate, right? And then looking at how the tax implications look like for that. And I would also challenge to put in some more, which is that this is part of the infrastructure and capital part, which is the major part. But part of our growth challenges, part of our school capacity also goes on the OpEx side of things. Not only school, but fire, police, DPW, all of those. As much as we can anticipate those, and when we talk about the school budget, I'll also give some commentary on that. That would also give us, some sense of OpEx growing and others growing, as you do very well for like 5 years. So at the bottom, we will have a more comprehensive picture that this is, the plausible, possible path for our tax implications, given the CapEx that's coming, given the growth that we need to manage through our OpEx. And all this combined, we are, more educated. I mean, we may not be happy seeing that, but more educated and understanding would be better. So I totally appreciate it and would appreciate, some more addition to that projections and forecasts. Now, technically, one thing I don't know if I missed it, the fire department, second fire station, is that included in the CapEx?
I recall it being in there.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, stations it's on page 36 of 90 of
FY25.
tonight's package, Station 2 construction, $5 million. And,
Yeah, right here.
so that is in there.
That is it.
So in the FY25 column.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Madam Chair, sir. Those are excellent points. And the things that are going to affect this debt ceiling issue, and we always talk about the cone of uncertainty, right? We know what's happening right now, and then as the future goes out, things become more uncertain. So we have this cone of uncertainty. And the big three factors are the growth in valuation. Will valuation continue to grow at a very high rate and raise the debt ceiling? Will interest rates rise or fall? And since we have to book all the interest the day we borrow, lower interest rates give us a lot more slack, save us money, and give us a lot more slack against the debt ceiling. And then, of course, the timing. If projects get slipped, or some get deferred, or some do not get approved, that would affect, the cost path going out. And those have some impact on the affordability side. So I feel like we have good opportunities to deal with the debt ceiling side. What we're going to be left with is the affordability side, and we need some good breaks on interest rates, and we need some, maybe some good work on timing to keep the affordability
Okay, so we're kind of running,
that the community, the select board, and the town meeting are comfortable with.
so we're kind of running past our time that we set aside. So if we could have board members quickly give their comments, and then the public may have comments as well.
Yes, but this is a big deal. So I really appreciate this picture. I'm a little overwhelmed by it, right? These are big decisions for the community. What I really want to hear from you is, what is the most reasoned approach to the percentage of that debt ceiling from your perspective as a financial expert? I mean, we don't want to be at 100% of our debt ceiling just because we can. We've heard that we can't do this and stay under it. But where do we want to be, and how do we pace out projects for this town that people can actually begin to think about affording?
Madam Chair, Ms. Kramer, that's an excellent point. I mean, we talked about the two sides, the debt ceiling, which we can manage through our engineering, and then the affordability, which is more difficult to manage. I can tell you there's absolutely going to be adverse consequences for our bond rating and our cost of borrowing if instead of being at 27 or 31% of our ceiling, we're at 99 or 100% of our ceiling. It's going to be more costly. It's going to make things even more costly. Our job on this side of the table is to lay out the alternatives and the costs, and those issues you raise are important judgments that will be made by the CIC, by the Appropriations Committee, by the Select Board, and ultimately by the town meeting. And our objective is to provide good information about the cost and benefits of these projects so that the community can make those decisions. So the outreach Mr. Kamala was talking about is more important in this time than ever, because we can do all the analysis, but this is an affordability issue that people are going to have to decide on, and they need good information to do that.
So just through you, Madam Chair, the other piece that you point out, Mr. Kamala, that we need to incorporate into that is the want versus need, the ways that we prioritize, right? We're going to have, so bottom line, I love saying bottom line when we're talking about the bottom line, we're going to have to make choices about what we do invest in now and what has to wait. That's the bottom line. And so we're going to need some metrics and measures to understand what the impacts are of those prioritization choices.
Madam Chair, we'll take that for action to try to come up with some decision model. My experience is those are typically based on, they have to be at some level based on judgments about the needs of the different stakeholders in our community. So we will try to come up with a model that allows you to set the factors to make those kind of judgments about whether it's kindergartners or high school seniors or seniors or fire safety.
Who we're throwing in the balance pan.
But there's math to do it, but that math is going to come down to somebody putting a value judgment on that need, and
right.
we want to help you do that in some way that at least can be explainable and quantified. It's not a science.
No, it's the art and the science.
Yes.
Right. I appreciate that very much.
Okay, so Irfan, did you have any questions or comments before we open it to the public?
I really don't. I mean, I think everybody has raised very good points here, and I really want to thank the finance team for this excellent presentation. I guess what I'm gathering from what I'm hearing from everyone is that we're going to have some tough choices to make in prioritizing, and we may disagree on what's more important. So I guess these are questions for another day as to what's the more important issue, what's the most important project, and why. I think that's something I think the why is what we all need to be considering as we look to the future here.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yep.
I found something that was helpful to me last year when we did a chart of the debt that we already have and when we expect to retire some of it. Because a lot of times I don't think that the public understands when they're voting on something. They're voting on it now, but we already have debt in the pipeline. And then when it's going to be retired, we can free up some more money for more debt, so to speak. But that chart I thought was very helpful. Can we get another one of those?
It's in the Appropriations Committee report, right?
Is it?
And you have a new version?
Madam Chair, that's in the Appropriation Committee, and I have 4 of them for the four scenarios that I laid out for you. So every time we do these tables, we always try to do the visual representation.
Right.
And we're going to have to figure out, when you have $275 million worth of projects, how do you visualize all that? So that's a challenge for us, but that would be a big part of what we do and what we bring you.
And so I really would like to hear from the public, because it's supposed to be a public listening session. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come to the mic and ask a question or give a comment? No one in the room, okay. Is there anyone on Zoom with a hand raised? Okay, I don't see anyone. Okay, but members of the public who are listening at home could certainly email in questions or comments, or look for the future listening sessions out on site that are not at our meetings, right? Okay. And I think everything presented tonight was in our packet too, so that can be reviewed as well.
I don't think we saw the 4 scenarios, did we, or did we?
Those 4 scenarios, no. Madam Chair, Ms. Kramer, we really need to think about how we're going to deploy this information.
It's totally fine.
So that we don't give them 7 different presentations over 8 months. we need to figure out, as CIC works through this, how we're going to present this thing in a way that people can parse it, but
Okay, so maybe at the next
we agreed
meeting
that
or
the
the one
once a...
after. Maybe next meeting or the meeting after that?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay,
but the once-a-year appropriation committee report graph is not going to cover us on this one.
Okay.
So we're going to need to do more.
starting point, though.
We're going to need to do more.
I appreciate your work on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, a lot of people worked on this, Chris Havens and Norman and Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next, let's see, so we did, that was the budget. The next thing on the agenda is the change of manager at Hopkinton Wine and Spirits. Is that a quick item? Because I know there's people here probably for some of the future items. Okay, so, is the applicant here? Or is it just in the packet? Oh, so please go ahead and come up to the,
Oh, the driver. Oh, no, the applicant?
okay, is somebody here from Hopkinton Wine and Spirits? They could be on Zoom, too. No? Okay, so do we need them here, or is this something we can?
Can you guys hear?
Oh, there.
Hello?
Oh, yes, there we go.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I tried to turn on the camera, but I don't know if this is working.
Okay.
We don't see you, but we can hear you, though.
Okay, well, that's fine. So on Zoom, you can see a water bottle right now. Oh. Yeah, that's probably, let me just turn this around. Let me know if you guys can see us. I can see you now.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we just can't see ourselves, so we couldn't tell.
Okay, so should we have town staff introduce the project, and if there were any comments? Is that, let's see. Or let the applicant go ahead and introduce it?
Yes, we let the applicant do that
Okay.
for the sake of moving forward with
Yeah,
discussion.
do you want us to walk you guys through?
Yeah, can you go ahead and walk us through the change that you're
Yeah,
requesting?
sure. So my name is Keyshawn Patel. I'm one of the co-partners of Hopkinton Wine Spirits. You guys probably know where it is, right next to 110 Grill, located at 77 West Main Street. This is my cousin Momo. He's also an owner at Hopkinton Wine Spirits. We're doing a simple change of manager with the ABCC, or we're trying to anyways. Just as a reason, because he's been more hands-on and he's been more present there. So we thought, subsequently, he should be the one that should be on the liquor license manager title. So a pretty simple just exchange from myself to Momo, my cousin. We're also family. So I think we submitted all the paperwork with the select board. If there are any questions or if you guys need me to add anything with the paperwork, please feel free to let me know. I think that's about it. So if you guys have questions, I can take them now.
Okay, thank you. And were there any staff comments?
Everything was good.
Yeah, we reviewed the application. There are no adverse comments identified by any of our pending staff.
Okay, so do any board members have any questions or comments?
I do not. Seems very straightforward.
No. Irfan, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. So then, so if we agree, we'd need a motion to approve the change of manager?
So moved.
Change of manager for Section 15 alcohol license for Hopkinton Wine and Spirits to Mohil Sapariwala. Okay?
Second.
Okay. And so, we do have to do a roll call vote?
Harold Kramer, yes.
Mary Jo LaFrida, yes?
Shahid Manan, yes.
And Irfan?
Yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, so that is all set. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you everyone, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is a new town employee. Select Board will consider confirming the town manager's appointment of Bruce Palmer as van driver for senior services. Okay.
As Bruce is walking over to the front table through the chair, we're so excited to present Bruce. And Bruce, my charge to you is simple. We are here to drive our seniors happy. Thank you for stepping forward.
I don't think I have any particular questions, but thank you. We really need this service. We need the van to be able to drive the seniors around, so we really appreciate it.
We recently appointed some drivers. Are we replacing somebody? Or is this an additional driver?
Well, we're adding a day, so we are now going to be 5 days a week.
Okay.
Instead of 4, but he will be driving 3 of our days.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
I hope you enjoy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, I hope you enjoy the job. I think that it would be sort of the most wonderful fun. It's so purposeful, people need this, but What an awesome opportunity to interact with some of our most treasured residents, and
Much appreciated.
Through the chair, yeah, I would echo the same. Very appreciative of your work and your interest and joining us. It's a very important role and huge service to a very important community.
I think so.
Thank you.
Irfan, did you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you. I think this is fantastic. It's an honorable line of work. And, yeah, thanks for helping our seniors.
Okay. Did you have anything to add, Amy?
No, we're just very excited to have Bruce come on
Okay.
board. Again, adding a day has been a big goal of ours, to be able to offer programs. Well, we've offered programs on Mondays, but people have not always been able to get there, so we're excited to have that. I know Bruce brings a lot of customer service experience that we're really excited to bring in, and that's really the biggest piece is the people, the seniors, so that's what we're looking forward to. Bruce joining us.
Okay, so then I think we need a motion to approve
so moved.
the town manager's
Second.
of Bruce Palmer as the van driver. Okay. And then a roll call vote.
Muriel Kramer, yes?
Mary Jo Freya, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Irfan Rasool, yes.
Amy Rodebush, yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
And then, do we do a group photo? Like last time we had a large group, but yeah, okay. Okay, and next on the agenda, which is what I think we have the crowd here for, is the Friends of Hopkinton Family Day.
Heard of it?
Sorry for the noise, but.
Happy noise.
and clicks.
We have a big family here tonight.
Look at this.
You weren't riveted by our budget discussion?
All millions and clicks. Oh, and a Danahy in the middle. Oh, there's a lot more. Oh, he's supposed to be on right citation.
Yeah, let's see.
I wish we had a photographer too.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, so the Friends of Hopkinton Inc. will provide an update on the 2022 Family Day, which was held on September 17th, 2022, and on the planning for the 2023 Family Day. So who would like to begin? Or-
I think I'll start.
Yep.
Madam Chair and members of the board, thank you very much for having us here tonight and letting us give you a recap of our Family Day. This year is probably as most successful as ever. First started off with a great day from Mother Nature, and we had thousands of residents of Hopkinton enjoying the day. We couldn't have done it without, of course, the support of all town boards, the select board, the town manager, the police department, the fire department, DPW. Everybody chipped in and helped make this a successful day. So Family Day, as you know, is just one of the events that the Friends of Hopkinton has during the year. We've always tried to do two events. We've done a family night, we've done a karaoke night, but last year we did another Family Day during the day called Family Fling. It was held in March, and it was on the town common, very successful. Families brought their kids, we did games on the lawn out there, and it truly went over well. All these events, the community events, the family events, was the inspiration of our president, Ann Click. She was a founding member of that organization that sprouted out of the 300th committee. Just so I get it right, what was it, Ann?
Civic activity committee?
Right, and then it became the...
Anyway, but they did the parade for 300th anniversary, which was hugely successful. And Ann carried that over to be the Friends of Hopkinton. And through her inspiration and her leadership, carried us on to the successful events of Family Day and Family Fling. So without Ann's constant work and inspiration, we definitely would not be so successful. And with that being said, we have a next event that we'd like to talk to you about. That's our Family Fling Day, which we have in March. And we'll let our new president, Colette Cronin, explain that to you.
That's great. And before you begin, I'm told that at home people can't see, the audience, they can only see the agenda. So if we can switch the camera on the Zoom. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Maybe it's just Irfan can't see. He can't see who's in the room.
Yeah, it's just showing the agenda right now. That's all I can see from Zoom.
Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry. There we go.
There we go. Much better.
As Pat mentioned, our next event is in March. I believe the date is March 25th. We plan to have it on the Common again. It was very successful, a fun day. So I will be doing my best to carry on after she will be staying with us. She's not going anywhere, so that's the good part. But I did want to say that she has been our fearless leader. She has put in an immeasurable amount of work, time, effort, and kept us all going to be able to put on these events for the town, and we very much appreciate her and glad she's sticking around to continue to help us out.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad there's someone to carry on too, to take over. Yeah. All right. Did you want to add anything, Dale? Just
You do it so well, Dale.
Okay, so we were really, you have something to say?
There were people in this room that started fall. Yeah, oh my God, where's my grandchildren?
This is a smaller kind of family day.
My son. But there were people in this room, other than myself, that were here from the beginning. And I'm going to do the famous quote I do every meeting I said, Sandy Sofaro, who was right there from the beginning, and sitting in my kitchen one night, and he said, all right, we've got this little bit of money, you know, let's try to do something with it and do something for the community, because the anniversary was the community responded so well for the 300th that we loved it. We loved the response, and we were so involved, so we just couldn't let that ball drop. And so we're trying to figure out what to do, and she said, well, we're going to do this, and this is sort of what came, these family day came up, and then she said, we're going to do it, and we're going to have fun. And we have been doing it, we're having fun. And this group that are the family members, the Friends of Hopkinton, are a wonderful, wonderful group of people. They're just willing to do anything for the town of Hopkinton.
Oh, and one thing I'd like to add is that if anybody is interested in Friends of Hopkinton, you can go to our website, friendsofhopkinton.org. We're always looking for new members. As Ann said, it's a fun time, it's a great group, and we welcome participation for anyone interested.
Thank you so much. I don't think everyone has really appreciated over the years. The 300th anniversary was marvelous, the big parade and year-long events really, and I think everyone was a little worried that it wouldn't really continue, but it was such a fun day in September. So I'm really glad that it carried on and that you have a plan to move forward still. And yeah, we really appreciate all the work you've all done over the years.
Let me tell you a quick story. So we were raising money for the parade. We decided the Friends were going to finance and support the parade. And I went away for a very short. We were raising money down at the store by
South Point.
Yes, and we put the curtains in the windows, and we were doing bottle drives, and we had merchandise for sale. So I went away for this very short, and we did it every weekend. I came home and it was a snowstorm, and they're out there collecting bottles with the fire going in the old trash, barrel, the guys and the women in the store. I mean, the enthusiasm of this group is just amazing. The
It's
town.
really made it very special
And
for
for the
everyone in town. Yeah. All right, do other board members?
I would love to say something through you, Madam Chair. So whenever something wonderful like this happens, there really is somebody that is generating, the heart, soul, the heartbeat, and is the champion of it. And Mrs. Click, you have done, that was going to make me emotional, actually. You have done an amazing job. When I first moved here, you were the face of Town Hall as the town clerk. And I remember you very fondly from all those occasions when I had business to do at Town Hall. But I don't think that there's a way for this town to thank you enough for the way that you have invested sort of your whole heart and soul and wonderful energy into making something really beautiful happen for the town. And I just hope you know that it's not just us that appreciate you, this whole town really appreciates you and what you have made happen here.
Sitting here, I recognize so many faces, and you're all related somehow, or for the most part. And Ann and Pat have done a fantastic job. I mean, they just brought them along. The family has done a great job. Everybody involved. And having been here when Ann was town clerk, and before that when her mother was town clerk, I really have to say she would be extremely proud of you and her family today.
Through the chair, I just want to thank for organizing such wonderful events for the town. It really adds and makes us proud about the character of the town, how we come together as a community, and I see how much hard work goes in every year. So deep thanks from everyone when I say that. I'm sure we all enjoyed it. I was at the dunk tank. It was a lot of fun, and the fireworks, my daughter always looks forward to that, and we look forward to the next ones. And thank you, Ann, thank you, Pat, and you all for all the wonderful work, and it's a lot of hard work, but it really gets our community jazzed and come together. So look forward to your future events, all the good work that you are doing, and any way we can support, we'll definitely continue to do that. Thank you again.
And Irfan, would you like to add anything?
I would. I mean, thank you. It's like, this is a community treasure. Every year we get this fantastic family day, and it's an incredible chance for everybody to get together and mingle. It's a great community get together, as everyone has said here. My favorite part was watching Connor D take a dive in that. We were so vocal, and he took it like mad.
I guess the dunk tank is here to stay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for everything you guys do. You're what made this community Hopkinton.
Thank you. Norman, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, through the chair, if I may, on behalf of Town Hall employees, and you've been a treasure. Thank you so much for doing hard work that makes Hopkinton a great community. The things that we couldn't do at Town Hall, the things that where people say, we don't have the laws, we don't have the SOP for this, you always found a way to get the job done. And in doing so, you made everybody happy. You made our work easier. I remember when there was a discussion regarding transitioning the 300th celebration committee to the committee that we have now, the Friends of Hopkinton. And by the way, it's not a formal town committee. Everybody started asking questions about what is the law, what is the compliance. Guess what? We still got it done. And without any fanfare, without you screaming. You were always diplomatic, you were always polite. You have created an institution that I believe very strongly will continue to be part of this community. Thank you, Anne.
Since we have such a large group, can we try to take a group photo, do you think?
Oh, here we go.
Can we manage that?
Cameras.
If we have, if we could have some people back here, the tallest people maybe, and some people, and we can have Mrs. Clark in front here. So we can get everyone, right?
Yeah, come on in, don't be shy, jump in. Come on. Here we go. All right, and you'll have to park yourself right in the middle.
No. Come in the middle.
Come on, Liz. Right there. Ralph, fill in. John, you can be here too.
Come back here, we need to.
I mean, there's a big. Yes. Donna. I just want her to be right front and center. Right. Oh, it's good to see you. Thank you for everything. That Dan, she's a pain.
If we got somebody that stood up there, we could fit everyone in, I think. If we sit up at the camera at the top?
Yep.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Tom.
Come on, Tom.
David, come in the picture. All you guys. Kelly.
Come on, everybody.
We're all a family.
We gotta have somebody with the
You go upstairs.
So somebody could go upstairs to get the picture?
Upstairs, take the picture, come down.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. Don't be shy. Are you kidding me? Come on.
I like it.
We're not t-shirts, guys.
We're celebrating.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Okay, smile. That's good. Okay.
2, 3.
Cheers. Now wait, Norm went upstairs, so if you have to, everybody has to fill in. He's gonna get one humongous group shot. Come on, come on. Oh, no, sorry, I lost your child.
Ryan. Oh.
It's all right. Norm has, okay, Norm has, here we go. All of you people are on there. John, come in, come in. Jump in. On, Liz. There we go, that's a very good. Perfect. Listening, huh?
Yeah, down in front. But look up. Look up, yeah, Norman.
Wait a minute, wait for Liz. One more, Tom, we gotta move in, put people in the middle maybe?
Okay, can everyone see Norman? Okay, tell us 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Everybody look at the oh, which is my phone. 1, 2, 3, first one.
Hey.
And then
Everybody say friends.
everybody say, and clean. Great. This is the best joke ever.
It's a pleasure.
It's awesome.
Thank you for coming, John.
Oh my God, isn't that something?
I haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing? Good to see you too. Oh, thank you for coming.
Actually, I might. Yeah, okay, then I will go. I'll bring the cake. I'll bring the birthday cake. Oh, that's a good one.
What's it? I think they've been out there waiting.
I'm a surgery advocate. Friendly reminder to do the consent agenda. Just a friendly reminder to do the consent agenda. Would be easy to
Yes, yes. Maybe I'm gonna write it down at the bottom before adjourn.
There you go. Yeah. Good luck with that. What did he say?
He's sorting them out. I think the Altaros folks are here. I think I saw them earlier.
I'm gonna.
Is this the,
They came just recently, didn't they?
marshmallow?
I think so.
Marshmallow.
There's a word for it. What was it called?
Think of.
Autostat? It looked like a blimp, but it had a different name.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's right. But it was not called a blimp. Aerostat? Something like that. Okay.
Good bunch.
No, it's okay. So the representatives from Altaros are here, right?
Yes, they're here.
I thought I saw them earlier, yeah. So we'll wait for them to come in.
Nephews and the whole family during
You can see if you can find them? Yeah. We should have them take the picture.
I know.
Giving them a job. Yeah, come, if you come to forward, yeah, that would be great. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so now we're going to review a draft tax increment financing agreement with Altaros. So Mr. Kamala, we put something in our packet, and I think you probably want to introduce an overview.
Thank you. Through the chair, very briefly, at your last meeting, you authorized the town manager and town council to investigate a draft tax increment financing agreement with Altaros. And we've been doing so diligently over the last couple weeks, I believe. And in your packet, I included a staff report as well as the draft agreement. In summary, in summary, this is going to be a tri-party agreement. The town of Hopkinton, Altaros Energies, the company that is proposing to locate at 80 South Street, and the property owner, Atlantic Oliver, 80 South Street, LLC.
Okay.
Altaros will invest a total of approximately $23.9 million in the property as part of the project, of which $5.1 million will be in renovations and approximately $18.8 million in personal property. They will create 181 new net permanent full-time jobs over a 6-year period and maintain those jobs through the term of the agreement. In return, the town will consider granting real estate tax exemptions for 14 years and personal property exemptions for 7 years. The exemptions will take effect after all the renovations are completed. In addition, the agreement is structured such that Altaros earns the exemptions the year after it delivers on job creation the year before. The real estate exemptions are strictly on the real estate increment only. So we spent some time establishing the base. John Nis has looked at that number and is ready to present it to the state as part of Altaros application process. Other benefits that we've identified through the negotiations include, obviously, renovating a vacant property, implementing traffic demand measures, hiring local staff and contractors where possible and appropriate, high school internships, and a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I did include, as part of the packet, as the draft agreement, the schedule of the exemptions for the 14 years, again for the real estate tax exemption, and 7 years for personal property.
And so tonight, do we need to vote on the draft, or you would first take it to the state to make sure it complies?
Yes. I would appreciate a formal vote by the board on the draft, and if the board is so inclined to approve the draft, we will then forward it immediately to the state. And I believe you are on schedule to appear before the Economic Council on December 8th.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, do board members have any questions? Or comments?
Through the chair, I read the draft, and I'm very happy that it's come forward, and we've got to this point. And I was very happy to see how they worked out the personal property, and I would want to welcome you and I support this 100% right now.
So thank you so much.
Can I just ask about the timing? Is this teeing up in time for town meeting, for eventually voting? Or
Yes, the goal is, again, have them go through the state process early December. And if there are any adjustments that need to be made, we will work on them. Our goal is to present, if the board is inclined, to place this on the town meeting warrant, include it on the town meeting warrant in January, and then present it at town meeting beginning of May.
So I'm also delighted that this has gotten this far, and good work to everybody in town who has helped make this happen. And we're looking forward to hearing good news from the state.
Okay.
Thank you, we are too.
Shaggy, did you have any questions or comments?
Through the chair, first off, thank you again for choosing and showing your interest in our town. And I would say we are very delighted, and also bring your friends next time.
Absolutely. Communal effort, we'll bring them all.
Sure. And I like the terms, especially the ones with the job creation and also diversity and the commitment for our interns. One thing, if we could consider thinking, is that if we can have more specific intern mention, maybe the numbers or however you feel comfortable, that would be one I would suggest to add. That would be very, I think, encouraging for our high school students and others to look forward to. And it's a great innovative project or product that you are bringing, so I think it would be a great exposure for them.
Sure.
And in general, I'm looking at the numbers just from the technicality perspective. I'm always a numbers guy, so I try to understand them more. Which is, so overall on 14 years, I'm not an assessor, so I didn't do the maths as accurately, I'm sure, but we are offering over or around 5 or 6 million in tax rebates through the years. Is that the understanding? And second, following that, we're going to start seeing some returns on year 7 because of the personal property taxes, and we'll probably see the rest on, we'll start to see some of the commercial taxes too on year 4 onwards, 5% each year, which is I think a good cadence. Do we have a sense of the number of year in breaking even for our from our investment and return perspective? And this is, again, if you don't have it, that's fine, it's just more informational. I wanted to understand a little bit, meaning over 14 years the town is investing by giving tax rebates, and then we're very also looking forward to getting the taxes eventually. And it may be that year 18 or year 20 we are breaking even from that. That would be a good number to socialize, and because we're also gonna get the buy-in, and need to get the buy-in from the town, and everyone would want to understand a little more in-depth benefits from both ends. And, but that's just one technicality I would also look at. So the internships and the...
Sounds like Norman may have
You
more
have the
information.
numbers or understanding?
Through the chair, this is a very good question. As you know, as we prepare for town meeting as well as the public education process, we'll absolutely have that number. The response usually is that the company that signs up to a TIF makes the decision that they're going to invest in the community in return for some relief. Thus, they are in Hopkinton or may not be in Hopkinton but for. So that's just the general context. It's the but for. In addition, the idea of preserving the baseline taxes, I think, is advantageous to the community. And I think you've seen also how we've done it in other in other cases. In this case, because the investment is largely through, I may be now revealing our negotiating strategy. The investment is largely through the personal property taxes. That's why we have the exemption going away after 7 years. So what I'm saying is, therefore, long term, we believe the numbers will be advantageous to the community.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's absolutely my reading as well, and especially because, you know, the alternative is no tax in this scenario, right? So it's obviously, you know, hugely beneficial and all the good things that you bring. I was just trying to quantify in my head that over, say, 14-year time period, overall tax rebate amount would be around 5 million, 6 million. And the return through that time period would be, or as we progressively increase, about 2 million or 3 million. So it would probably add another 4 million to get back the 5 million, if we call it like a silent investment from the town. And why I say that is, you know, in business you do the ROI, you do the cost benefit. I think that would be a good number to look at when we talk to convince the town before it goes to the town hall. But I definitely agree and see the benefit for our community, the financial numbers, and we want to look at, you know, forward-looking revenue streams, and this is definitely something we encourage. That's why I keep saying, bring your friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Irfan, did you have any questions or comments?
Yes, but first I want to say that the Zoom is now just showing the...
Oh, it's just showing the document.
Picture there, so
Okay.
I'll get into the room. But I just wanted to follow up with, actually I'm glad Mr. Minnan had said this, follow up with this comment that, you know, the alternative is zero, because if we don't have any activity there, we'd still be getting the same revenue based on vacant land. I want to, so from the TIF standpoint, I think the lost revenue we would need to look at without the TIF, without the company, without the TIF agreement, and then with the TIF agreement, to fully understand what revenue is being lost. Otherwise, I think the TIF agreement is fantastic. I'm fully supportive of it. I think I was wowed by the presentation, and I would love to have it in Hopkinton, so I'm fully supportive of the TIF agreement.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I really have any further questions. I think Mr. Manan's right that people will ask about the internships at town meeting, so if you have more description of those by town meeting, I think that would be good. Because you get a lot of parents that are
Excited about
keyed
that
in.
opportunity.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, are we ready to make a motion to approve the draft TIF agreement, understanding that'll have to go to the state and then we'll come back and...
I'll make a motion that the select board accept the review of the draft of the TIF for Altos for the tax increment financing program.
I second.
Okay, and so we'll have to do a roll call vote?
Earl Kramer, yes.
Mary Jo Lefreniere, yes.
Nigel Manon, yes.
Monticelli, yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, great. So thank you and welcome. And,
Thank you so
this
much.
helps very
We are
much.
thrilled.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your
Welcome
support.
to
Looking forward to your first, what is it called?
Aerostat.
Aerostat.
I can't wait to float it.
Yeah,
Our timeline holds, will sometime, best case is midsummer,
okay.
because there's a lot of work that has to be done in the building. We can get moved in, but could be as late as, unfortunately, more like closer to the fall, but we'll see how we can execute. But, yeah, we're thrilled, genuinely thrilled. Thank you for your support.
Okay.
Very, very much.
Thank you for coming tonight.
There's a
It'd be
phrase,
great if you could have one right for the marathon.
exactly, there's a phrase that we like in Hopkinton, and I think it does fit there.
Is that-
It all starts here.
It also, I love it. That's a great recommendation.
We put in our public Wi-Fi on top, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, all right, the next item is the DPW union contract. So we've been discussing this in executive session for a while now, and I'll let the town manager introduce.
Okay, thank you. If I may, 1 second. We are very excited to be at this point where the board is signing the contract, the collective bargaining agreement contract between the town and Local 272, our DPW employees. As we all know, our DPW employees are a key component to our excellent service delivery. They are a crucial component of our public safety system, and most importantly, they present a very strong connection to the community. In terms of the highlights of the contract, we included the MOA in the meeting packet, and I'll just touch on a few. Number one, we recognize that especially during the snow season, or during winter, or even when we have other severe storms, be it in the spring or summer, we have our DPW employees responding at times up to 16 hours, 18 hours, and also responding after midnight. So we are recognizing that to get their very valuable service, their essential service between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., the town will pay double time for those hours. We also, in following discussions with the union, recognize that the employees who work these extended hours require some time to recuperate and to be with their families, because for the most part they are not with their families. To that end, we are agreeing that for the new employees who do not have a sufficient pool of vacation time, that they be allowed to take comp time. And also in support of our employees, in instances where they or their family members are sick, we have now clearly defined how they can utilize that time, in addition to other times that the town allows for employees to be their loved ones during times of need. All of us have heard about the Great Resignation, and we have all seen, in fact, I think if you drive along the Mass Pike or drive through towns, you will see advertisements for DPW drivers as well as plow drivers. And to that end, we came up with a new pay classification plan that presents Hopkinton's compensation as very, very competitive. And I think we need to commend the DPW employees and the union for their understanding in ensuring that our focus in defining the new wage schedule was in getting a fair wage and at the same time minimizing the impact year to year. That's why this contract does not have COLA adjustments. Rather, they were built into the increases to the base. We recognize the importance of education. We're clarifying the licenses that the town will acknowledge and pay for. And last but not least, in being an inclusive organization and community, we are making sure that all gender references are neutral.
Okay, so I think we've all been talking about this in executive session for a while, so I think we're okay, probably ready to go ahead and make a motion.
Yep. I'll make a motion that the board sign the contract with the DPW union.
Second then?
Okay, and a roll call vote?
Muriel Kramer, yes?
Mary Jo Griffin, yes?
Shahidul Manan, yes.
Thomas Rulli, yes.
And Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, great. Okay, one down, 3 more contracts to go.
Yeah, just one down, yeah.
Okay, and then there are other items in the town manager's report.
A town manager's report, very interesting updates. Clearly, Main Street Corridor Project, there's a report prepared by Dave and Michelle Maddock, included in the packet. And then, in recognition of the town's commitment to sustainability, we have now signed a textile recycling contract. This allows us to, in fact, to get in front of the recent textile ban by the Commonwealth. We have contracted with HELPSY, HELPSY, to divert textile waste from landfills. They will provide curbside textile recycling to all town residents. They will strategically place textile drop-off bins at strategic locations. They will also participate in organizing and promoting municipal clothing drive events, meaning they will be working with our recycling committee, even on household hazardous waste collection and Earth Day celebrations. They've agreed to partner with local thrift stores and private businesses to use that relationship to continue to divert textile waste from our landfills. We signed onto this contract for the following reasons, including the benefits that I just outlined. We received positive recommendations from other towns. We also added into the contract the concept or the provision that the town will save approximately $6,175 in tipping fees because the textile waste will not be going to the landfill. In addition, HELPSY would pay the town approximately $2,600 per year for diverting 65 tons of textiles from our waste stream. So again, getting ahead of the new law in the Commonwealth, making the service available immediately to town residents, and at the same time finding some efficiencies for the community.
Yeah, I think this is great, and I know the law just changed recently, so I'm glad we're on top of it with a plan. A question I have heard, I think mattresses can no longer be thrown away either. Does this include a provision for mattresses, like people could drop them off or then pick it up?
No.
Not yet, okay.
No, the answer to your question is yes, mattresses are now prohibited.
Okay.
We're talking to E.L. Harvey to see how we'll address that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a great first step, and I think something will go out to the residents when it gets all set up, so they'll know how to recycle their textiles and everything. Okay, anyone else have any questions or comments?
No, but I'm excited to hear about it, in particular, how to access it and,
No, that's great.
Yeah, I'd like, to the chair, I like the proposal and thank you for working on it. Certainly also moves us towards our green goal. Right? So
Absolutely.
All good things, thank you.
Are you all set or fun? Did you have a question or comment? You're good. Okay. All right, so the next item?
Yeah, in fact, I should take this opportunity again to thank John Westerlin. He was a key party to these negotiations and will be the project manager going forward. The next update speaks to a couple of things. One, being responsive to the community's needs, and then two, working effectively with our legislative team. I am excited to announce that the town will be implementing 3 earmark grant-funded projects as part of our overall response to COVID-19 and our recovery efforts. First, in working with Senate President Spilker's office, we secured a $100,000 local business support earmark. We have been hearing of late about the impact of COVID-19 as well as the Main Street construction on the Main Street businesses. And so we applied for and secured funding that will be limited to providing economic recovery support to local businesses, including through grants directly to businesses to assist with their reopening process, expanding dining options here in the downtown, as well as developing more downtown grocery options. This is still in this particular project is still in the conceptual stage, and so if board members have any suggestions in terms of how we can best address this, feel free to reach out.
Okay.
The second earmark is a $90,000 earmark that we are applying towards income and workforce development. Here's what this means. The project will have 2 components. There's the income support and then the workforce development. Through the Hopkinton Youth and Family Services Department, who will be the project manager, we will send out a request for applications. We are looking for applications from residents disproportionately affected by COVID-19. Evidence from our human services departments indicates that the pandemic took a toll on many families in Hopkinton and resulted in financial hardships. We hope through this grant to provide economic relief to those in need with the income grant program. We encourage anyone who may be eligible to receive grant funds to apply. This income grant program continues, which I think is important to stress, it continues the town's mission and efforts to ensure that our most vulnerable residents receive support from the town. Also, we are hoping if there's a consensus that this is how we want to proceed, we are hoping to issue a press release right after this meeting. And through our departments that work with vulnerable populations, we will advertise this widely. We will, again, as I said earlier, we will be working through our senior services, we'll be working through our fire department, police department, school department to really reach out to the families that are in need. And so here's an opportunity, again, based on being responsive to the needs of the community, working effectively with our legislative team, and delivering immediate direct support to deserving Hopkinton businesses and deserving Hopkinton families.
Those both sound like great grants that we've received that we can then administer to our residents and businesses. So you said you'll send out a press release telling people how to apply and what are the qualifications to receive a grant?
Yes.
Well, that sounds wonderful. So I'm glad we were able to get this.
This is great, yeah.
Anyone else have questions or comments?
No, just really good work. That's awesome.
Developing more downtown grocery options would be really nice. That's a challenge though too, but maybe one of the businesses that's already there could also do groceries. I don't know.
I certainly miss it.
Okay.
Thank you to you, your team, and Senate President Spilka for all the support.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as I've said, we are working hard with her team to make sure that she can come back and interact with the community as well as with the board.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I hope many people will read about this and apply. That'd be great.
Okay, next update is the MWRA Southborough Connection Project. And I think the plan, the public participation plan that I'm putting forth, I should acknowledge, was inspired partially by my conversations with Ed Harrow. He drew my attention to the fact that whilst the town's search for a reliable, safe, and quality water source had been to town meeting multiple times, that most people were unaware of the project. So we went back to the drawing board, working with John Westerling. We've identified and put together the following plan that will support, facilitate, and nurture public participation. We are aiming to identify the key stakeholders who will be affected and anybody else who's interested in the project. We want to reach out early and often, identify and coordinate with all appropriate stakeholders, ensure that information is shared timely in a format that is easy to understand. We also want to generate an interactive, collaborative, and credible public information process. Fundamentally, why I'm so interested in this plan is that we are specifically putting extra effort to identify the Title VI populations as well as individuals in the community who may be disproportionately impacted by the project. This will ensure fairness, this will ensure equity, this will ensure inclusion. We also are making a very deliberate effort to ensure that as we go through the plan development, design, and eventual construction, that we put measures in place to ensure that there is no denial of, reduction, or any significant delay in receiving benefits by the Title VI populations. There's another piece that we are now working on including in the plan. Main Street Corridor Project, Trails Project, Legacy Farms when the town was doing the East Hopkinton Master Plan, and all the other big plans that we've had in town. We keep hearing about how most people may not be aware of the project, and this is what we're doing as part of this process. We're trying to identify an entity that may work with the town in rolling out this plan, but most importantly, we want that entity to hold workshops on public participation. I'll take any questions at this point.
Can you remind me, this is a long process, the MWRA project. Was this something we might go to town meeting this 2023, or is this something more town meeting 2024 we would be voting on?
Yeah, good question. In fact, part of the reason why we really have spent time developing this plan is the fact that this project is going to take a long time.
Yes.
Between 3 and 5 years.
Okay.
So it's really important to keep the public informed. We don't have specific dates in terms of when we may be coming to town meeting.
Okay.
It will all depend on how we structure the project, structure the funding. We may go back to town meeting just to ask for design. We may go back to town meeting and ask for design and construction. So at this point, we don't know how that would be structured.
And I think you're still working with Southborough to figure out how we could make it work with them, too. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good communication plan, because it is a very expensive project, but everybody wants clean water. They really prioritize that in the budget survey, I believe. So, does anyone have any other questions or comments?
I do, through you, Madam Chair. Just, I really appreciate the focus on the public outreach effort. Like you said, Madam Chair, it's going to be critical. How are we, what is the timeline, and who is operationalizing that outreach effort?
This will be a team effort. We will ask the select board to participate in some of the events. We'll be asking staff to do so. We'll also be working with the engineers to undertake some of the work. And obviously, we will also be looking for an entity, a consulting firm, to work with us in...
To do the workshops.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing that I didn't mention that I think we haven't done a great job in, and it's coming out, in fact, in some of the recommendations most recently regarding the Upper Channels Trail Committee, namely tracking, where we keep a clear log relative to the input, the suggestions, and some of the challenges that come from the public, including how we respond.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Do you have any questions or comments, Mary Jo?
Through the chair, just some comment, which is, I think this is a good plan, and thank you for putting it together. It is very important, or going to be very important, that we communicate, analyze, and build the picture so there's no misunderstanding, and it's transparent, and everyone fully understands why you are doing it, what it means, how it's going to impact, from tax to quality of water, all those things together. And one other thing, I think it'll come in subsequent discussions, which is once we get to MWRA, what the new services might look like in terms of support as well as cost, because it's going to be then another dimension added to it, right? And we're going to probably join a group of 40-50 towns who are on the same. So that is another angle to understanding it as well, which I think would be helpful.
I'm sure you'll get that question in the forms.
Absolutely. Yes. If the town is paying for X, what is the benefit? What is it that people are going to touch as this is what they're buying?
Irfan, did you have any questions or comments? No. Okay, Irfan's good. Okay, so I think we're done with the town manager report then. And we have to do the consent agenda, because thank you, Merrill, for reminding me, we skipped that at the beginning. So the consent agenda, okay, was approval of minutes for October 25th and November 1st, and accepting the resignations of Kevin McCarthy from the Historical Commission, Kelly Carp from the Youth Commission, and Nasiba Manan from the Hopkinen Cultural Council. Did anyone?
I will move the consent agenda with appreciation to all the people who have contributed, who are leaving.
I second that, and thanks for all the good service, and I appreciate all the good work.
Okay.
And I would just like to tell the public that we have openings
now. That's a good lead-in.
In these positions, so anybody interested in Arts Cultural Council or Youth Commission, Historical Society Commission, please come forward.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Anytime we have someone step down, it's a new opportunity for a new person to step in. And I think last time we had more applications for youth commission.
For the youth commission, yeah.
Than we had spots, so hopefully some
Yeah,
of them
so
will be able
hopefully
to.
they'll come back.
Yep. Okay, so we had a motion and second, okay, and a roll call vote.
Carol Primer, yes?
Mary Jo LaFrida, yes?
Shadul Manan, yes?
Ron Sewell, yes?
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Okay, that's the consent agenda. And then, I don't think we skipped anything else. Okay, liaison reports. Do anyone have any liaison reports?
I do, I have two.
Okay.
I went to the Sustainable Green Committee, and they have lots of things in the works. I know they're going to be asking for a very small budget. They have administrative costs now, they're growing, and I was very impressed at the things that I heard and where they're planning on going. I enjoyed the meeting very much. And this morning to a legislative breakfast for the MWRTA, and then we had our advisory committee meeting after the breakfast. And I'm very impressed, and I'm really liking the meetings of the MWRTA. The people are from everywhere, and I didn't realize that we had grown. We were newest RTA. There have been others, GATRA and a few others, but we were the newest, and we've expanded to 16 towns already, and doing good work, and it's a real asset. We're in the city, actually, getting people of low income and to work, to jobs, and getting them around, and I appreciate that very much. They're great meetings. I'm really enjoying them.
Great. Okay. Mia, did you have any liaison?
I went to a really wonderful Veterans Dinner, so thanks again to the Veterans Celebration Committee. We had a really wonderful time, and it was well attended, and I know the veterans appreciate it, so.
Okay.
Just, again, the Veterans Day was wonderful, thanks to the organizers. The day and the dinner, both, we enjoyed it. And for updates, I think ESBC is moving ahead with all the good work, very hardworking and very engaged group, and had several forums and more to come. And I really appreciate how they are engaging with the community, getting the feedback, and also providing all the pertinent information. I think that's really a good model and a good way to go. As for the school and the budget, I think we heard today about the budget, so we are all in sync. For school also, I think it's moving ahead well with the budget discussions, with the teacher and capacity discussions. So thanks again, just all these group of people being so engaged, so dedicated, and very communicative and thoughtful.
Irfan, did you have any liaison reports?
Yeah, I'm sorry, through the chair. A thought came up when we were talking about, we went to the veterans in the morning and a dinner, and it was great. But on a sad note, we lost 20 veterans this year in Hopkinton, and they're not coming up from the youth like they should. There are a lot of much more youthful veterans out there that should be joining the veterans organizations and coming forward and helping out. They deserve recognition for the jobs they've done also.
I noticed that as well, that there were not very many young veterans that especially attended the morning event. So that might be something for the committee to think about next year.
Many of them are working, which is one of the problems. The holidays aren't really days off anymore for a lot of the younger people. But
maybe there could be other ways.
But there can be other ways that we can bring them in.
Yep, I agree. And then, okay, so for myself, I attended the Legacy Farms North Diwali celebration, which was this past weekend, and had a very nice time. And Fire Chief Miller came, and Deputy Chief Doherty came, and Nancy Kavanaugh from the school committee, and it was really a nice event, huge, I think 400 people. And then other liaison reports. I've heard that we had an update in October about the Regional Communications Center idea study or whatever, and I understand that they're reviewing it in Southborough this week. I assume we will have some kind of review of it soon?
Yes, I saw we were invited to a meeting in Southborough.
I think it's the same time as this meeting.
Yes. Yeah, it's now. So we will be circling back with the team to see when we can get our update.
So maybe we can get an update at a future meeting. Okay. Great. Okay, any other, that was sort of a future agenda item. Okay, any other future agenda items?
No, I'm just looking forward sort of keenly to getting a handle on that sort of planning, the financial planning and prioritizing and what that community engagement looks like, so.
Okay, any other future items? No? Irfan? No? Okay, and Mary Jo, what's that?
No, not right now.
Okay, and we didn't forget anything, right? Because we jumped around a little bit.
We didn't forget anything.
Okay.
I checked.
Okay, so then we're ready.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I second.
All right.
All in favor?
And a roll call vote.
Sorry.
You're in favor, yes.
Habit of being a chair.
That's all right. Okay, roll call vote.
Lafreniere, yes?
Shahid Manan, yes.
Irfan?
Irfan Akhoury, yes.
Amy Bush, yes. Okay, thank you.
Feel better, Irfan.
Thank you, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Hello.